Hey everybody, it's Chris back with another review for the Blue Collar Beer Gourmet. Today I'm going to be reviewing a beer from an Oregon brewer with which I have a fair amount of familiarity. I actually went to a tasting that they had in Olympia, Washington, and I think when you see the can you will recognize it yourself, maybe unless you don't have access to West Coast beers. This is the Yours Truly Easy Drinking Ale from Ninkasi Brewing. Those of you who do not know, Ninkasi was the goddess of brewing, so that is how they got their name. This, I'm guessing that's a canned on date, 3/20/2018, I think. So I'm just shy of 3 months um, from the brewing date for drinking this beer, which is pretty good. Now, as I said, it says right there on the can. Got to get that. There we go. Easy drinking ale. When I went to Untapped to look it up, I discovered that it's referred to as a traditional ale, and on Beer Advocate, they're referring to it as a blonde ale. So, um, on Untapped, let's see, two of my friends gave it a cumulative score of 3.63. 1,298 gave it a score of 3.44, and on Beer Advocate, 8 people gave it a combined score of 3.81, which is a very good ranking on Beer Advocate's score list. So, I paid $1.79 for this, whether it's for this 12-ounce can, whether it's a blonde or a traditional blonde. Uh, and the ABV on this is, what did I not? There it is. 4.3 ABV with 20 IBUs. So uh, I think that's, I forgot to actually look and see what the parameters are for a blonde, but I think that's about in range. Um, and it describes this beer as crafted with sincerity. Yours truly offers a sweetly toasted malt profile and delicate hop bouquet. With a satisfying crisp finish, this beer is brewed for your easy drinking. And at 4.3 ABV, yeah, that's very easy drinking. Um, I'm not going to, I'm not, well, I am going to speculate. If I like this beer, this is probably going to end up being a lawn mowing beer. Um, so I don't see any reason to keep running my mouth. Let's just get to drinking, shall we? All right. This is pouring a very, very golden color. What you're seeing on camera is about the color of the beer itself. Uh, as you can see, we've got, well, very little carbonation actually. Um, Tiny small bubbles. I got it, well, okay, I got to call that medium low because there's lots of small bubbles as opposed to big noticeable bubbles. The color's very nice. And we have this flimsy white head right there. Bringing it in, I smell a lot of yeast and wheat is what I mostly smell. I'm looking at that lacing, which you can't see because I'm not putting up there properly. And you can see the lacing doesn't stick for too long. It's kind of low, but I mean, at 4.3, we're not talking about a lot of sugars in this alcohol. There's a little bit of fruitiness, like maybe a pear. I smell like pear and perhaps just a little bit of apple. Doesn't quite have a cider smell, but it is like I said, a little bit fruity smelling. I smell the yeast for sure, and actually, as I inhale a little more deeply, there's a slight alcohol smell to it, and mostly the fruit now is coming through. That yeast and that wheat is kind of dissipating. And I'm going to show you as best I can because I can't bring the camera down, but that is that head is very flimsy. If you could look right dead center, you'd basically be able to see golden. So I think that's true. I think that's typical of a blonde ale, though. I'm going to now get to drinking. Cheers. Okay, I'm gonna say a medium-high mouthfeel, kind of spiky. Flavor is, well, flavor's not really there. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just kind of there. If you've got a friend who doesn't like beer and you had one of these in the back of the fridge, and that's all you had, and you're like, hey, we're all gonna have a beer. You want one? So and so, and so and so said, I don't like beer. So yeah, well, you might like this one. This tastes a little bit like a beer, but honestly, it tastes like a almost like a knockoff of 7 Up. Um, it doesn't have that lime and taste, so it just doesn't really have any flavor. Trying desperately to isolate it. I mean, I got to be honest with you. When I was in Italy and I was drinking bubbly waters, because that's all they drink, at least in the 80s, that's all they drank. Um, I tasted waters that tasted almost exactly like this. There's a little bit of an alcohol burn to it, and that's what makes you know that you're drinking beer instead of, say, a carbonated water. But there's just not any flavor to that. Um, so I'm afraid I can't give that more than, well, I'm gonna have to give it a 2.25. Sorry. When it doesn't have any flavor, I can't give it any more than a 2. True enough, it's a brewer that I like and whose beers I've enjoyed, so it gets a little bit more credit. But then it gets the 0.25 for being in a can. But I got to tell you, it's so easy drinking that it's almost like you didn't realize you drank anything. Uh, Okay, well, like I said, I can't knock them all out of the park, and I knew I was about due for one because I've been getting a lot of extremely high-ranking beers and enjoying them. So it was about time for me to have one that was going to kind of, well, I don't even have to say that, or that necessarily say that disappoint is the word, but at least didn't come through with much. So until next time, drink good beer, don't break the bank doing it, and cheers.